Hello and welcome back to Command Stack, your source for all new things Star Wars Armada. We've got a great big update today. We've already covered some portions of it. Today we're going to go into the Rebels. But before we get into that, I'm Ken. Who else do we have today?
I'm Garrett.
I'm Ryan.
So today, Rebels, we're going to cover a whole bunch of changes from the famed October update. We got a whole bunch of things, hundreds of changes here, guys.
Yeah. So it's like October 115th. If you haven't already, check out our CIS and Republic overviews. Those should be up by the time this video is up. But Rebels, I think, got impacted maybe the most out of all this. So a lot of archetypes just opened up. We're starting with, if you want to follow along at home on the PDF, we're starting with admonition. This got a double whammy. Two things happened to it. First off, its points went up from 6 points up to 10 points. And then, however, it has a new text. While defending, during the spend defense token step, you may discard a defense token to cancel one attack die. And the big difference here is it doesn't say readied defense token to discard a attack die. What do you guys think?
So this goes back to what admonition was when it originally came out, except if memory serves, I think it was at 8 points. So in a roundabout way, it's only adding 2 points to admonition from where we originally started from. And when we talk about the other title, I'll get to my thoughts on MC30 titles. But I think this is a good thing. You can use Admo a little bit more. It justifies that extra couple points because you're no longer worried about just spending those readied tokens.
Totally agree. The readied text was too restrictive. Really made the title very difficult to use. So I'm glad to see the change. Points, that's a lot of points to spend on your MC30, but it probably needed to happen because original admonition was very powerful.
Being able to discard 3 attack die in a critical moment with an exhausted evade is really useful.
Yeah. Well, 4, because you'll have 4 tokens.
Yeah. Well, I mean 3 attack die, right?
Oh, yeah, I gotcha.
And with Mon Mothma, I think that upped it to 4, right?
You'd kick it up another notch, yeah. And actually, if you're going up a larger ship, wouldn't you be able to cancel another one?
I think
that's what I'm
saying.
Because if you're tossing the token, right? Yeah.
Typically, you're discarding against bigger ships for MC.
Right.
So let me clarify this. I know we have a ton of rundown, but are you guys saying? And it's been a while since I've used old admonition, obviously, but you can spend your evade, cancel a dice at long, let's say, and then you can use admonition's effect on that same evade that you just spent to cancel another die.
No, you need to just spend the token.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be ready. You can spend it readied or exhausted. Does that make sense? Like now you can discard it no matter what, but you had to discard it if it was green before. Right. And now you can spend a exhausted defense token to use admonition's ability.
So you're saying use an evade against a large, discard 2 dice at long, and then you discard a redirect?
You could, yeah.
3 die.
You could do that too. But I'm saying if you're at long range and you have an exhausted evade, if you discard your evade, you can cancel 3 dice with that 1 evade now with admonition.
So you get so this is my question. You get the evade's effect plus admonition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't exclude the other ability, right? It still works.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's super powerful. That's super good.
Yeah, it just adds more flexibility because before it had to be readied, and now it works exhausted or readied.
Yeah, that's super good. You're going to see a lot more admonition in your meta.
Yeah. Next is this is a text update for Cham Syndulla. Basically, all I did was they added a sentence that lets you look at the stack of command dials before you set a command for each. I don't know why this was really necessary. I don't think anybody did not do that already, but now it's just a really clear steps. You Cham Syndulla, you discard the card and token or command. You look at their stack of dials, and then you change them. Before I didn't tell you to look at them, but of course you had to do the ability anyway. So
Well, not
whatever.
necessarily, because you did not actually get the opportunity to see the command dials. If you actually were playing with the competitive rule set that usually is there, that you don't get to see those unless they're revealed. So you had to make your decisions on what you were going to change, and then you were shown the command dials or the command stack after you make those changes. So it's a minor change that has very little impact. By the same token, if you've played Armada long enough, you already know what those dials are. So you're gonna kind of go along with it, right?
Yeah, I guess I just played it wrong. I just picked their stack up right and started changing the dials.
You don't see a lot of Cham. This is not going to be a major groundbreaking.
No points changes. Now moving on. We've got a title update. Dodonna's Pride has went down 2 points. It was 6. It is now 4. Which why not, right? This is a cool card for blue crits. Add it to your Dodonna fleets, but nothing crazy. Just a 2-point decrease. Just something tasty.
Yeah, you're only going to see this on the CR90B. Your blue range, it's one of those things you just don't see a lot of, predominantly because there's other titles that we see, and we're going to get to that in a minute on your CR90s. But yeah, for 2 points less, you get a little bit more utility out of a title. I think it's great.
Here, makes it kind of interesting on like a Sato list. As your CR90 long range blue off. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Sato is a good addition. Make it blacks.
Make blues.
Yeah, to make sure you get the crit. So Foresight, there's the next one, the other MC30 title. It has also increased to 10 points. It was 8 points. Now it's 10 points. Again, really powerful title. It's worth the 10 points still to take. And of course, Foresight's the one when you resolve and evade, you can affect 1 additional die. And when you resolve the redirect, you can choose 1 additional adjacent hull zone to suffer damage.
Right. You're only going up 2 points from where it was at. And you saw more Foresight than you did Admonition. I think a lot of that's because Admonition, you needed the ready token as opposed to spend any.
And you had to discard it.
Yeah, and you're discarding. So at this point, now you're more likely to use Admonition, and it's worth the points because now you get that extra effect out of it. With Foresight, if you're going to use Foresight, you're going to use Foresight. And, the thing is I'm looking at it. I already thought that 6 and 8 points was a little bit much to spend on them. So this is pretty much, these are now binder fodder for me personally. So I prefer advanced projectors. I don't like the MC30 titles. I don't get anything out of them.
Man, they always ruin my game.
See, I never use them. You and I have never played, Garrett. That's why. I'm going to show you the power of advanced projectors.
I think a common theme like throughout this is kind of like things that were too strong go like it's kind of like someone with their thumb on the scale a little bit, just a little bit goes a little bit up, a little bit down depending on this. And this is one of those ones that just went a little bit up.
Yep. And justifiably so, in my opinion.
Your fleet will probably get those points back somewhere else for something else that has decreased.
Well, and there's some cards that when we start talking about the generic ones are going to play into this, and a lot of them are ordnance upgrades.
Yes. Yep. All right. Next we have an Admiral update. This is the 3rd time this card has changed. General Draven. He is now 20 points instead of 28. This is cool. We've got a local guy, Jeff. He listens. He has a Draven fleet. His at this point now, I think he's got like if he doesn't change anything else, he's got like a 30-point bid almost after this. That's a lot of room. Yeah, 20 points. Draven's a cool admiral for doing raid maneuvers, but now at 20 points, you can use him a lot more in something different.
I mean, he was
20 points is cheap, guys. Cheap.
He's now at a point to where if you don't have a plan to leverage one of the other admirals with your fleet, Draven's a good alternative because he gives you an opportunity to kind of mess with your opponent, getting some raid out there, and now again at 20 points, that's 8 more points you have to spend on your fleet. So when you really get down to it, especially for someone like me that enjoys flying Draven, because it's just extra abilities. There's a lot you can do with 8 points, especially given the number of things that have changed with the rest of the update here. where you could take advantage of that and get in some cases almost another ship.
Yeah, or squads. It helps build
Definitely
squad.
another squad, and
Your
we'll get
squad
to some
ball.
of those in a minute too.
I still haven't gotten to the end of reading Draven's card. I will endeavor to do that. So
But basically, you do a command. If he has a matching token after the command you
no,
did,
no, no, we don't
he
need to
gives you a
go.
rate token. Blah blah blah. Right.
I don't understand.
General Maydeen is next. This one's contentious. A lot of people don't like this. I think it's great. So General Maydeen, new text. While the friendly ship is executing its first maneuver during its activation, during the determined course step, it may increase one yaw value by 1. So the old one used to be you had to do a nav command,
Right.
and the benefit was, if you had Maydeen, a token, and a command, you could do 3 clicks. Now, without doing a nav command, you can do 1 click, and with the nav command, you can do 2 clicks. This adds a whole lot of flexibility to different rebel fleets. I think Maydeen is a squadron commander now, because now you can do squad commands and still turn your ship.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this a lot.
This is one of the biggest changes. We always talk about Rebels as a 5 admiral faction. It is now a 6 admiral faction. Maydeen is awesome. He works like Jerry, but even more flexibility, and you don't get the 1 damage penalty like Gergerod. He is great, and I agree with you on the squads because you don't need to be nabbing.
Yeah, and this is great for even like your MSU fleets where you're spending a lot of time navving. You can now actually do something else with them or get a medium-based ship in there, like Garrett's saying, with squads. Maydeen now is effectively kind of an equivalent to Ozzel, but in the Rebel area.
Question: does this work with engine techs?
No, because engine text is going to be your second maneuver during an
Right. It
activation.
says your
Not part of the
first.
determined
Yeah.
course step.
It also will not work
Okay.
with Rift Ambush. When you get too close to that gravity rift, that would be the second movement.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it says first maneuver during its
Correct.
activation.
Got it. Okay. Good clarification. Still, he's great.
He's awesome.
You just look at the rebel ships; they all want that extra click,
Right.
right? And now you can do other commands. Incredible.
The Liberty. The Liberty is a terrible nav chart.
Right.
Maydeen's a Liberty commander now.
Wonderful.
All right. Next is a title update. The illustrious Home 1 has went down 2 points to 5 points. Stacked with some other changes we'll talk about. This is great. 7 was kind of spendy because it doesn't work on itself, but 5 points is appropriate.
Well, yeah. Home 1. I mean, Garrett, I was using this at when we went to Gen Con. And it was one of those things where I was right at that 400 point limit, and I wanted to add like one more thing into there. And as we go through the list of changes, we're going to see, hey, there's now a lot more that I'm making up for, and there's room for Home 1 to do well. So yeah, I'm excited, especially, and we'll get to it in a minute with what happens with the MC80s.
What do you think, Ryan?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it's again one of those little thumb on the scale. Let's try to get something into play a little bit more often.
All right. Next is a nerf. Jaina's Light has went up from 2 points to 5 points. People are kind of mad about this, but listen, everybody, this is the best title in the game. No questions. 5 points is appropriate. 2 points was dumpster bargain cheap. All right. 5 points is good. It's like it's not like you're going to stop using Jaina's Light for those 3 points.
Jaina's Light TRC 90s are now over 50 points. So.
Yeah.
I'm really okay with the change. I flew Jaina's Light a ton. I think I've always brought this up. I'm kind of an old record on this, but CR90 spam is just not the most fun fleet to face. And here you're making it just a little bit more expensive, so maybe you're not going to get quite as many tools in the toolbox with your CR90 fleets. So I think this will hit Akbar. I think this will hit Akbar too. The most Akbar fleets now are like assault frigate, and either 2 CR90s or assault frigate, MC30, and a CR90. So Akbar is going to get a little bit more expensive too.
All right. Next is another title that I'm surprised it got touched. I just don't think it gets used at all. It's Redemption for the Nebulon Bees. This went from 8 points to 5 points. It's when a friendly squadron ship, or I'm sorry, when a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 resolves a repair command, it gains 1 additional engineering point. I don't think this will see any play still. The only title that ever gets played is Vanguard, and maybe Salvation, and not even Yavaris anymore, right? So I don't know. It's a point decrease on a card that will still be binder fodder.
With Nebulons, you always want to try to add auxiliary shields on there. Could it be like an auxiliary shield swarm where you don't need the token to get because Nebulons have a 3 engineering. Now with Redemption they'd have 4, so you just have the dial. Now you're up to 2 shields on the side. That's the only use I can really kind of see for it.
And actually
Still,
now the cost to add auxiliary shields teams, which is now at 3, you're basically for the same price of the Neb B with Redemption, you now have Redemption and auxiliary shield teams.
Does Redemption work on itself?
Yeah, because a friendly ship.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine.
So I guess Kravik for your Akbar Nebulons, take this card. You got buffed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am liking the number of changes that have occurred in this update, specifically with like wave 1 and wave 2 ships, because a lot of these were, I mean, they're 10 years old now. So seeing these changes now, I think we're bringing some of the older material back into the game. Again, we'll get to more of it, but I'm liking the direction this is heading in.
All right. Next is Shriv Sergav for Battlefront 2. Really funny inclusion in this game. Anyways, he went down from 6 points to 4 points, 2-point decrease. He's a boarding team. He's just, he's one of those boarding teams that lets you discard one of their upgrade cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's cool. Slap him on a Hammerhead and a Ravis drop. Radis builds got even cheaper.
It's so funny because Patrick's list, like 3 days ago, just won the Las Vegas Open, and he was running Home One and Shriv and expanded launchers. I was like three jank cards, right? Like pretty much jank cards, and those all got a decrease. So Patrick's list is now like 10 points cheaper than it was. It's just unbelievable. And the MC80.
The ship itself,
it's like 12 points cheaper or something. So Shriv is fine. I do think that he flourishes under Radis. So it's Radis got a little bit cheaper. I think I don't see another use for him other than Radis, to be honest. Maybe if you're just running an MC75 and you're just using Profundity because it's such a great title, an Agate type of list or something. But that's we can theory craft later.
If you can Riken it, Riken Shriv into the fray.
Riken's fine with it. Yeah, that makes Riken a little bit more affordable too.
I can see more use for him in campaign play, where you can leverage that to take a key component away from one of your opposing fleets. So, I mean, there's some advantages. And actually, that's another thing that a lot of these point reductions have done for a lot of the titles, a lot of the upgrades. And this is a whole separate video, but just real quickly, a lot of things went under that threshold now, where if you were winning or losing a battle in, say, Rebellion in the Rim, you can now afford to purchase a lot of these upgrades if you lose. So that's actually a good thing.
Yes. Next is Squadrons, and the E-Wing got a point decrease. It went from 15 points to 14 points. This is awesome. I like E-Wings. The snipe is amazing, and now they're cheaper. So maybe we'll see more of them, hopefully.
I just started flying E-Wings a little bit, so this is exciting for me. Just extra points now I could spend elsewhere.
Yeah, they're speed 4, which is really lacking in Rebels. And so this ship should get used more. I know they're pretty rare to have, so you might have to, get some proxy ones, but pretty good change.
I love it. E-Wings, super cool fighter. With that speed 4 plus the range 2 snipe, you just have so much flexibility that, again, like Garrett said, not really present in Rebels.
Next is pending. We don't know. Han Solo ended up on here with no change. So that's an error. The powers that be We have some assistants possibly fixing that. So look out. Maybe in the future, we'll find out Han Solo. Hopefully
Don't
it gets cheaper.
look. Don't get your hopes up, Han Solo fans. It was just like this one hurt. This was like a low blow. It's like we changed 100 cards, and we're just gonna put Han Solo like reprinted. You couldn't even change the artwork. It was just we'll see. We'll
As
see.
soon as I saw that Han Solo was in the errata document, I immediately thought of you, Ryan, and then I was looking at it, read it about 3 times. I had to go grab the card out of my collection, and yeah, it's the same thing. So I suspect there's a reason that he's in there, and there's probably a minor change that's going to happen.
I had a single purpose in starting this podcast, and this was to get Han Solo changed, and I have utterly failed.
Didn't make it. Almost
Maybe they're
there.
going to give him a scatter. So
He should. All right. The next change is another surprise. Kian Farlander, uh, the original Legends survivor in the Y-wing from the first Death Star. All right, the respect where it lies. Okay. Anyways, he's a B-wing squadron. He went from 20 points to 18 points. Good. He's a double black bomber that can reroll versus no shields. 2 points. I don't think I've ever seen anybody run this. That I can come to memory. Because it's still a speed 2 B-wing. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think he could be. I think again, this is perfect illustration. We're just seeing things that do not see play, right? No, not a single person brought Kian to Worlds or to any really organized play events last year. Just kind of thumb down. Let's see what 2 points can do. And with the change to rapid launch bays, you having a distance of 1 to 2, I think that's where you put Kian, right? You could distance 2, really, you're getting kind of double black dice at long range now, effectively from a rapid launch bay. We'll see.
Next is another speed 4 rebel rogue, the Lancer. Went from 15 points to 14 points. And this is interesting. I think the Lancer's already good.
Mhm.
But now it's a bomber grit rogue, black bomber, 3 anti-squad, and now it's 14 points. This is putting it in YT 2400 territory for points per what you get. What do you guys think?
I think the thing is every time I've flown Lancers, I either have 30 or 60 points kind of hanging around where you're filling it out completely. And what I like about the 1 point reduction is now you can throw 4 Lancers in a group where you've got that 6. Statics work out a little bit better, where you're now able to kind of potentially use Lancers in a second player fleet.
I don't think, yeah, I agree. I think this is like your 7th or 8th squadron in a rebel list, right? You're not really spamming them. You're never going to have a 6 Lancer list.
You have 2, maybe 4.
Right.
Yeah.
2 is probably it. And this helps. This kind of gives you a little room. I think it's useful.
Next is the man himself, Lando Calrissian, the Millennium Falcon. He went up 1 point. He's now 24 points instead of 23. I hate this squadron, but I love this squadron. I mostly hate it, but yeah, I'm glad he went up a point. I wish he was 26 points, to be honest. But that's okay. Fair enough. Went up a point. What do you guys think?
You
I think
probably
this is
could have
right.
gone up 2 more points and people would have still taken them.
For sure.
I think this is about right. I've never loved Lando, but he was obviously good. So I think they really nailed this one. Happy with 24.
Makes me think that Han Solo may drop down to 24 because then you're making a decision. Which one do you want to go? Do you want to shoot first or do you want to guarantee kill something?
Don't
Yeah,
get my hopes up, Ken.
So you still take a Lando every time. Anyways, Assault Frigate Mark II-A.
So before we get to that, Garrett, Melee Hura, I saw in the Errata also, and that's a Skirg H6 bomber squadron. No change again. So I'm wondering if there isn't something there that
I think she went down to 21 points.
She's at 21, but I thought that's where she was before.
I don't think there's any change. I think that was from like 2020.
No, it wasn't. Melee was at 26 points when she came out, right?
I mean, maybe, but she hasn't changed. I could
Since
check
the
real
last
fast to double
errata,
check.
yeah, she was the same amount. So I'm wondering if that means there's another one. Oh, hang on. I'm seeing her at 26 points right now. So she dropped to
Oh,
21.
we did miss that.
5 point
Skip that.
drop.
Yeah,
It is a
5
5 point drop.
Sorry to the Melee Hura enthusiasts here.
Oh yeah. Wow. I don't think no one has double checked that on mine, and I've missed that too. Interesting. Yeah, down 5 points. Cool. I still probably won't take her.
I'm more likely to
Very-
take
Yeah.
Farlander.
Yeah, for even 2 less points or 3
Yeah.
more or less points.
I think it's useful in a, again, Sato fleet or a rapid launch bay fleet.
Mhm.
You know, you're guaranteed to get that ship crit.
That crit, yeah.
It's again, Rebels have great die bombers.
They really do.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I missed that one. Thanks, Ken. Moving
sure.
on, we're going to the Assault Frigate Mark II-A, and this went down 4 points from 81 to 77. Okay, that's great. This ship was already good, so this is awesome for Rebels. It just opens up more points, right, in the Akbar fleets.
Yeah, because you're going to use this in Akbar if it's a popular ship in Task Force, just because it's a decent sized ship with some damage potential, both in taking and giving. Double blue flak, so it's a great ship. It's a great platform to do things from, and that extra 4 points. 4 points is huge with the ship.
Right.
Yes.
It just didn't see a ton of play compared to the B version.
Right.
So I think it needed a little bit of help to see a little bit more play. And this is it.
Yeah.
Love it. The next one is the MC-75s. These are awesome. Okay, so the MC-75 Armored went down 5 points from 104 to 99. This was a much needed change and gets it in line with all the other larges in the game.
Right.
Fantastic. 99 points. What do you guys think about the Armored?
Love it. I think this is great. It's Armored One. Again, this is going to pair with a couple other upgrade cards that we'll talk when we get to the generics. But there's so much you can do with it. And you're always in that thing where an MC-75, usually you've got that in a Raddus build. And, you know, they're expensive to begin with, and you need to have these larger bids to guarantee getting second. So now all of a sudden, you've got more points to spend, whether you need a little bit more offensive firepower, you want an extra upgrade, etc., and you still maintain that bid. And that's one of the things I like specifically about the MC-75s, both versions.
Totally agree.
Listen, Maydeen, flight controllers, expanded hangar bay. This is a carrier now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser, also a huge point decrease. 5 points, 100 to 95. 95 points for the MC-75 Ordnance, with double ordnance slots for all the cheaper ordnance that are out now.
Yeah, like rapid reload and expanded launchers.
Yeah, 95 points for this is crazy cheap.
Yeah.
This one they might have pressed a little too hard down on the scales here, because I agree. 95, you can make a very cheap MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser that is lethal,
Yeah.
right? Like this, and that's another theme I think that I was kind of saving, but like this is everything's a little bit more lethal. You got a little bit more points to spread around. You know, black dice are back. And that's what the Ordnance Cruiser is. It's a black dice, just a fun ship. So pretty cool to see.
I mean, now we've got the defensive retrofit on it is what really puts it over the top for 95 points. But now you know, again, put Maydeen on this and run repair or con fire now on a large with ord experts, double ordnance, and oh my gosh.
I mean, not to come back to Patrick's LVO list, but he had an MC-75. Again, 5 points right there. 2 points with Home One, 2 points with Shriv. That's 9. Another one with the MC-80. That's 14 points, and then expanded launchers. If I'm doing my
5
math
points.
right, I think that's 19 points his list went down,
I
which is
think
Yeah.
you're
great.
right. Yeah. 19
If I'm doing
points. Which, hey, there you go. Keen Farlander can now be in that list.
right, super fun. I'd probably put Shara, but
Well, yeah, you'd be better off with Shara.
yeah.
All
Anyway,
right. Next is the MC80 Assault. Long overdue justice has been done. It is now 110 points instead of 114, which is a 4-point drop. It doesn't sound like that much, but for a double defensive ship that can take engine techs, this is fantastic. This is a great spot for this ship to be in.
this is a great alternative for people who don't love to play the Starhawk. This is now kind of your new Starhawk. It'll fly kind of to the side, right? So it flies very differently. The Starhawk flies at you. It can get to speed 3. Agate's a great admiral for this ship. This is your castle fortress if that's the way you like to play. This is a great option now. You get a free, we've always looked at reactive gunnery on this kind of ship, but you probably go early warning system ECM, probably.
Yep.
So great. This will see more play,
Mhm.
which
Yeah,
is the whole point, I think, of this update. See more play for these cards, get more interesting.
I think we're going to see a lot more MC80s back out on the table now because they're more affordable versus a lot of the other ships where there's better pricing for it. Take a look at the MC75s. I mean, when you look at an MC75 versus an MC80, the MC75 is on whole a better ship, and now that point differential is not that extreme. So I think there's going to be you're going to see it come out. There's going to be more archetypes that can now leverage this because it's not going to be 15 points more expensive.
Speaking of more play, the MC80 Command also went down 4 points. It is now 102 points.
Mhm.
Great price. You can load up 18 points of upgrades on this, and it will be, better than a naked 120 point ISD2.
So I think what's been really kind of disappointing, I guess, was that you didn't see a lot of MC80s with Akbar anymore. It had its moment in the sun with like advanced gunnery and kind of like 3 flotillas, and then once the flotilla nerf happened, you didn't really see them much anymore. But I think that they're back, and I think an Akbar MC80 with Defiance and like QBTs or enhanced armament is getting real nasty. So that's where I kind of see. I like the MC80 command here with Defiance, especially with Akbar, just gobs of dice, and you're in that. You're kind of in the do I bring 3 CR90s or do I bring 1 MC80? And the choice is always bring 3 CR90s.
Yeah.
Now I think we're starting to kind of swing back a little bit towards you want that big hammer.
The other thing that we're going to see, and this is specific to the MC80s, there are a lot of, when we get to the generic upgrades, a lot of ion cannon upgrades where points have come down. And MC80s love those ion cannon updates and upgrades. So with a whole bunch of point savings, you're probably looking at a similarly equipped thing 2 days ago for an MC80 is about 8 to 10 points cheaper now. That's a lot. So yeah, it is much more likely to find one of those into your fleet, and you're not spending 200 plus points to have one ship.
It
Yeah.
used to. I mean, it used to be that like all your MC80s were 170 points, and you're just like,
Yeah.
it's still not as good as an ISD.
Right.
Now it's as good as an ISD.
They're more comparable.
Yeah.
An MC80, either of these with NK7s is awesome because you're almost always going to get that blue crit you need.
Right. Yeah, no, it's exciting to see all these changes again to wave 1 and 2 ships that they've really needed for 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a more interesting rebel faction in my opinion now.
I agree. I think Rebels definitely benefited from this. Maydeen being probably the biggest improvement, but the changes to the two ship platforms, the MC-75, the MC-80, and then the assault frigate Mark II-A, I think make some of these bigger rebel ships more viable in your fleets. And I think that's kind of fun and it's exciting. And we're going to see a whole year. And I'm really excited to see what comes at Worlds in terms of all these changes. And it's going to be a different set of ships out on the table. And I think what's going to be exciting is walking around the halls at Worlds, and especially day one, where we're, 150 or so players, and you're going to see ships that you recognize from Return of the Jedi, and you're going to see all these fleet battles that are going to be reminiscent of things you've seen in Star Wars, and I think that's what's cool about these updates.
People have 2 months, right? You have 2 months to come up with, really interesting things, and it's going to be kind of like this jank theater. I don't know a better way to describe it, but it's a lot of these cards that were binder fodder. I discussed this yesterday, are relevant, and each card change like just opens up other options. It was just it's a wild time, I guess. It's the Wild West, super exciting. Everything makes sense too. Like, like Main D needed help. Draven had to go down to 20.
Yeah.
E-Wings are super cool. They're always super cool. Great to see them, get some play. So can't wait.
No, it's exciting. Garrett,
All right, I think are we wrapping up Rebels here?
I think so, everybody. Next one we'll work on will be Empire. So look forward to that episode.
All right. So until then, from the entire command stack here, I'm Ken.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Ryan.
And you've been watching and or listening to Command Stack.